The stars outside the Galactic Council shimmered like tiny diamonds. Every world had sent a representative to this meeting. Some had dozens of eyes, others no mouths, some floated. And now, walking into this grand hall, for the first time was something new. Two humans stepped through the shining gateway. One was tall and calm, dressed in a sleek navy blue suit. The other, shorter and older, wore a long black coat with silver lines. They were Earth's ambassadors. The room grew quiet. Then came the laughter. It wasn't just a few voices. It was nearly the whole chamber. A wave of mocking sounds echoed around them. Some delegates buzzed in amusement, others barked or chirped. On a giant screen above, a video had started playing. It showed Earth's military test footage, slow-motion shots of massive metal slugs being launched from long rail cannons, blasting into distant targets with incredible force. Dust clouds rose. Tanks shook. Sparks flew. One tall golden alien with a thin neck stood and laughed louder than the others. "Is this what your people used to fight?" he said, his voice soft and cold. "You still throw metal like savages?" The human in the coat didn't react. He simply walked to the center, looked up at the council, and said, "We use what works." The laughter faded a little. "You've seen our world," said the taller human beside him. "You watched us from afar for decades before we even knew you existed. You judged us by your standards. That was your first mistake." The room shifted. Some aliens frowned. A few whispered among themselves. "Your species uses energy weapons. Shield grids, plasma storms," the older human continued. "You rely on systems that can fail. We rely on physics." A sharp buzzing came from the far wall. Large council. Member, a being shaped like a smooth boulder with glowing eyes, interrupted. "You mean your railguns?" It rumbled. "Your toys compared to our tech. Ancient, crude, unworthy." The human ambassador nodded slightly. "Yes, railguns. Simple, fast, brutal. And always reliable." The golden alien leaned forward. "You mean, till your enemy uses real technology?" At that moment, the lights dimmed. A council technician hurried to a control panel and activated a priority channel. A hologram flickered to life above the council floor. It was shaky, grainy, a distress signal from the Orion Verge far, at the edge of mapped space. A mining station commander appeared on the screen. His face was pale. He was shouting, but the audio broke up. Then a flash, like a distant, low sound. And then silence. The feed went dead. "Just another pirate attack," someone muttered. "No," said the technician. "There was no explosion, no ships, just nothing. The system is silent now." "Unconfirmed," a robotic voice said. "No response from any colony in the Vega cluster either?" "We are still checking," the council murmured. A few glanced toward the humans, who stood still and silent. The golden alien waved a hand dismissively. "Probably a fault in their star cores. Mining systems collapse all the time in outer sectors." The human in the coat stepped forward. "And what if it's not that? What if it's something worse?" "You think we haven't seen danger before?" said a gray-skinned creature near the front. "We fought the Hive Wars. We ended the Crystalline Uprising. We survived when stars went nova in 3 systems. We do not need advice from newcomers." The older human took a breath. His voice was steady. "We are not offering advice. We are offering a warning." The room went quiet again. "You've mocked our weapons. You've mocked our history. Humanity has learned something none of you seem to remember: fear. The right kind of fear. The kind that builds strong walls and stronger weapons." The golden alien frowned. "And what exactly are you afraid of, Ambassador?" The human looked up, and for the first time, a strange chill settled over the room. Things that don't speak, that don't listen, that don't want peace or war. Just silence. On the far side of the room, a massive being covered in plates. "Of living crystal stirred? You mean machines?" "We don't know yet," the human replied. "But we've seen this pattern before. During our dark ages on Earth, entire cities swallowed, lights going out across continents, and always the same warning signs. First, silence. Then confusion. then nothing. The golden alien laughed. Again, but more nervously this time. You fear ghosts. Ancient myths. No, said the human quietly. We fear what you call impossible. Another alarm buzzed. Council priority alert, said the technician, voice shaking. Vega 7 has gone dark. No communications. No warp trails. No ships. A hollow silence settled over the chamber. Then, the technician added something strange. Last message from Vega 7 contained no visuals, just audio. We're decoding it now. It played. A quiet voice came through, barely a whisper. It's not a fleet. It's not alive. It's physics. Static followed, then nothing. The council room erupted in noise. Some demanded full fleet deployment. Others called for border lockdowns. Some still insisted it was a malfunction. But the human said nothing. After a moment, the younger human whispered to the older one, just loud enough to hear. They're not ready. No, the older one replied. They never were. Dozen species argued on the floor. One delegate stood and shouted that humanity should be expelled. Another called them fearmongers. Another demanded Earth hand over all weapon schematics. But then a different voice spoke, deep, slow, thoughtful. It came from the council's oldest member, a being of smoke and metal that rarely moved. They may be primitive, it said, but their eyes are open. No one replied. After a long pause, the golden alien finally said, "What would you suggest Earth?" The human in the coat stared directly at him. "Prepare for war." The council laughed again, but not all of them. Some sat very still. Some were beginning to understand. The meeting ended in confusion and protest. But Earth's delegation had already turned and walked out. They had delivered the warning. Now they would prepare. Back on the shuttle to orbit, the younger human asked, "Do you think they'll listen?" "No," the older one replied. "But they will, soon." Their ship left the council planet behind. Far across the galaxy, another star system flickered out. No explosion, no smoke, just silence. The stars above Orion Verge flickered for the last time. A quiet alarm echoed inside the Galactic observation post orbiting the system. Technician Loro, then a small insectoid with 6 arms, leaned forward, confused.
Ow.
The screen in front of him had just gone black, no signals from the surface, no mining beacons, no ship traffic. All channels had gone dead. He tapped the screen again. Nothing. Control. This is OP-47. We've lost all contact with Mining Colony 4C and Orion Verge. Attempting resync. Another tap. Then another. The screen flickered once, then static. Loro tilted his head. Something was wrong. Very wrong. He whispered into the COM control. "It's not responding. Try the secondary relay," said a voice. He did. The screen flashed. Just for a second, a single image came through. A wide mining field, completely still. Machines stood frozen, giant drills half buried in rock. No smoke, no wind, no movement. And in the distance, a wide black wave-like smoke, but thicker, moving silently across the horizon. Then, darkness. The feed cut out. Loro blinked. He felt something in his chest, something no one in the galaxy had felt in hundreds of years. Fear. Hours later, the Galactic Council was still in session. Another system had gone dark. Vega cluster. No warnings, no escape beacons, just silence. Inside the chamber, Ambassador Varel of the Carthos Dominion slammed a fist on the table. "This is sabotage," he shouted. "Some enemy is trying to break our communication lines." A silver-skinned delegate from the Azari floated forward. "If this was sabotage, why are the colonies themselves gone? Where are the people? Where are the ships?" "We still don't know what happened," said a synthetic voice from the Council Core AI. "But this may not be an attack. It may be a phenomenon." At the edge of the room, Earth's representative stood quietly. The older human, known simply as Ambassador Thorne, stared at the center screen and now showed a map of the galaxy with blinking red marked siege. 1 aloft. System 3 red dots. Now 4. The room went cold, and came the transmission. A static-filled message recovered from Vega 7. The audio was broken, chopped up by distortion. But the voice was human. It's the tone shaky. It's not a Levitz cold no warning. Just came physics sit. Eats light it. Cut. The room fell into deep silence. Ambassador Thorne spoke at last. You're facing something you don't understand. Something that doesn't send threats or war fleets. It doesn't care who you are. It only erases. The golden alien from the previous session, Shirela, stood again. Your fear makes you see monsters. Thorne's eyes didn't blink. Your pride makes you ignore them. Suddenly another alert chimed. A new system, Balthari Prime, had just gone dark. No debris, no attack logs. No warp trail, just ... nothing. One of the younger council members stood, her green skin pale. We're not being invaded. Then what is this? Someone asked. The hologram map zoomed out. For red marks now showed a pattern. They weren't random, they were moving inward, toward the denser systems of the Union, not skipping around. Following a line, a path, someone whispered. It's hunting. No one laughed this time. In a high-orbit station above Jupiter, Earth's military command watched the same feed. Admiral Reyes folded his arms. They're still not listening. They will, said Thorne, his voice coming through a secure channel. We've already seen this, Reyes said. Not exactly like this, but close enough. During the Siberian blackout. The AI dust storm in 2235. This is like that bigger, smarter, and probably older. We're ready, Thorne said. Are we? Reyes asked. The old man paused, then gave a short nod. We've always been. Behind him, deep in the command vault, stood a massive object, a sleek black cylinder with glowing blue coils wrapped around a rail track. A railgun, one of Earth's newest class, silent, fast, and unimaginably destructive. The label etched on its side was simple, Thorne's Spike. Reyes looked at the stars beyond the window. If this thing keeps coming, he whispered, they'll finally see what our toys can do. Back in the Galactic Council, a strange silence had settled. The map of the galaxy now had a fifth red mark. Ambassador Thorne stepped forward. You're not facing a war. You're facing a system. An automated death march. You've built your entire defense strategy around shields and plasma. You think your enemies will shout before they shoot? This thing doesn't shout. A flicker passed over the council's lights. A minor power drop. Nervous eyes looked up. The reason your weapons don't work on it, Thorne said softly, is because it doesn't care about energy. It absorbs it. It bends it. That's why it keeps moving. A young alien leaned forward. Then what can hurt it? Thorne turned and started walking away. The answer came over his shoulder. Mass. He didn't need to explain. Already? Understood. Not energy. Not light. Metal. Speed. Gravity. Railguns. In the cold dark of deep space, something moved. It was not alive. It had no eyes, no fear, no mercy. It moved with perfect silent seeding light, matter, code, even memory. It had no name. But soon the galaxy would call it something, if anyone was left to speak. And far away, Earth began to prepare the first shot. The message from Vega 7 wasn't long. It was barely a whisper buried under static. But the words kept playing in every command center across the Galactic Union. It's not a ship. It's not alive. It's physics. Then silence. No visuals. No coordinates. It's just static and fear. Inside the Galactic Council chamber, everyone stood. Delegates who once mocked Earth's weapons now leaned forward, quiet and alert. The silence of the galaxy was spreading like a disease. Vega 7 wasn't just a research outpost. It was protected, armed with advanced defense drones, cloaking satellites, and a military warp gate. It was supposed to be untouchable. Now it was gone. Ambassador Thorne stood at the edge of the room. He didn't smile. He didn't speak it. Instead, the council reviewed the final automated sensor data from Vega-7. The feed was jerky, glitching. Black frames interrupted the footage. First, you saw ships in orbits, fast, armed, and lights flickered. Strange distortion passed through the frame. It didn't glow. didn't hum. It simply bent everything behind it, as if gravity itself had been twisted. The next frame showed broken pieces of a ship, floating. Then nothing. The rest of the feed was corrupted. No sound, no heat, no energy. One of the council members, a tall being with a head like a glass sphere, spoke in a hushed tone. That wasn't a weapon. Ambassador Thorn finally spoke. No, it was a warning. The golden alien, Shirela, stepped forward again. But this time, he didn't laugh. What is it then? We've ruled out fleets. There's no warp signature. It's no AI signal. It's not talking. It's not asking for surrender. So what the hell is it? Thorn's voice was calm. It's not trying to conquer. It's trying to erase. The delegates shifted in their seats. Erase. That word hung in the air like smoke. From what we can tell, Thorn continued. This thing or system follows a path. It doesn't attack the strongest target. It doesn't act with strategy. It just moves forward, slowly, silently, system by system. Everything behind it disappears. The Council's core AI spoke again. 5 systems confirmed lost. 20 more in its projected path. Time to core territory. 21 days. Panic spread like a virus. One delegate shouted for mass evacuation. Another demanded activation of ancient planetary shields. A third insisted the Council contact the mythic archivists, a silent, ancient race that had not spoken in centuries. Thorn stepped forward into the light. None of that will stop it. The room went quiet again. He held up a small silver disc. This, he said, is the blueprint for Earth's long-range railgun system. It's not based on energy fields or plasma bursts. It's just metal and speed. No computers needed. No signals to jam. No shields to penetrate. Just raw force. You think this will stop it? One delegate asked. Thorn nodded. It's the only thing that's ever made it flinch. Murmurs followed. A scout ship, Thorn added, equipped with a railgun, made contact with the edge of the phenomenon. Fired one shot at close range. The object split. The map updated. A tiny curve had appeared in the path of destruction, barely noticeable. But it was there, a bend. For the first time, something had made the unstoppable. Pause. The council leader, a floating crystalline being, asked the only question that mattered. How much time do we have? Thorn replied. If we act now. Days, if you keep debating. Hours, light years away, in Earth's Mars-based shipyard. The first of the long-shot-class warships hummed to life. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't graceful. It was a massive armored spearhead with a single glowing track down its spine. The railgun stretched the entire length of the ship, magnetic coils already pulsing with energy. Inside the command deck, Captain Naomi Chen stood over a map of the galaxy. She pointed to the red dots. Everyone else is running, she said. We're going in. Beside her, Chief Engineer Rojas grinned. Good. Time to let the galaxy see what a toy can do. Back in the council, resistance remained. The Union has never allowed kinetic weapons of this scale, said Shirela. They're unpredictable. Thorn looked straight at him. Your laws were written in peace. This thing doesn't follow your laws. Another screen flickered to life an intercepted message from a fleeing cargo ship. The pilot's voice shook. The stars are bending. It's like something is chewing up reality itself. Our weapons don't even lock on. No signals. Just shadows and silence. Then came a sound no one expected. Not static, not silence, but screaming. It cut off. In less than 2 seconds, the screen turned black. Now no one argued. The Council. Past emergency powers to Earth's defense team. It was the first time in galactic history that a newcomer, one with primitive tech, was placed in charge of a multi-species strike command. Ambassador Thorn left the chamber. He didn't speak again. He didn't need to. They had finally heard the scream. Out on the edge of the stars, the darkness continued moving forward. It wasn't alive, wasn't thinking. It was old. It had done this before. It would do it again. But this time, something new was in its path. A weapon not made of light or code or quantum frequencies. A weapon made of steel, math, and fury, and its name was humanity. The scout ship Hawking's Mercy floated alone in dead space. No stars, no planets, no signals. Just black Captain Ellen Ward stood at the window, staring into the void. Behind her, the ship's systems ran silent, in low power. Lights were dimmed. No transmissions were sent. She wasn't hiding. She was watching in front of them. Barely visible to the eye was something no one in the galaxy could explain. It didn't glow. It didn't make noise. But it moved. Slowly. Constantly. Like fog with gravity. Like darkness that wanted more. Her crew was quiet. 4 people, all hand-picked. All trained to observe and, if needed, die without noise. Ellen checked the railgun status. Charged, loaded, ready. "Final check," she said calmly. "Railgun coil stable," replied Lieutenant Cray. "Projectile loaded, depleted tungsten, triple spun, velocity max set for 80% light speed. Radiation cloak is holding," said Engineer Runa, but not for long. They had maybe 2 minutes. Ellen watched the wave. It wasn't rushing toward them. It didn't need to. Everything in its path vanished. Light, matter, even gravity fields. No signatures, no patterns, just death. "Time to target," she asked Cray. Stared into the scopes. "It's here." The black wave moved like water, slow and thick. Didn't touch. It unmade. Everyone on the bridge stopped breathing. Ellen touched the firing control. Her hand didn't shake. "We built this thing to take out rogue asteroids," she said, mostly to herself. "No tracking, no lasers, just physics." She pressed the button. The railgun fired. No flash, no boom. Just a soft thump as a 500-kilo tungsten slug left the barrel and tore through the dark. For 2 seconds, nothing happened. Then, the black wave twitched. Not much. Not a retreat. But it flinched, like it felt something suddenly. It twisted sideways. "Fast. Back off," Ellen yelled. "It's reacting." The ship jolted into full power and reverse thrusted away from the wave. Lights flickered. Pressure dropped. The wave surged forward for a second, then stopped. Behind them, sensors showed something incredible. The wave had split just slightly. A thin slice through its mass. Cray stared at the data. "We hit it. Didn't kill it," Runa said. "No," Ellen replied. "But now we know. It's not a ghost. It's not a god. It can be hit, can be hurt." The ship jumped to warp. Running cold and silent. Back on Earth, Ambassador Thorne stood before a dark war room filled with screens and blinking lights. The Hawking's Mercy report played on loop. The railgun had worked. Not destroyed the entity, but affected it. They finally had proof. Inside the council chamber, Thorne delivered the findings. "We used no AI," he told them. "No signals. Just kinetic force. Pure mass at speed." And it reacted. Paused. Which means it can bleed. Many delegates still didn't understand. They were raised with weapons that glowed and buzzed. Laser lances, shield disruptors, clean warfare. This was different. Brutal, old, terrifying. But it worked. Xi Rayla leaned forward. "If your weapon truly worked, why didn't you destroy it?" Thorne looked at him with tired eyes. "Because that wasn't a warship we fired. That was a scout." The room fell into a whisper. He walked forward and pressed a button. A new screen lit up. It showed blueprints. Massive railguns, larger than anything the galaxy had seen. Ships built not to dance, but to punch holes in space. Itself. "Earth has been preparing for enemies that don't talk," Thorne said. "That don't listen, that just come." One of the younger council members stood up, voice shaking. "Why? Who are you preparing for?" Thorne didn't answer for a moment. Then he said, "We didn't know. We just knew something would come. That's the difference between Earth and the rest of you. You trusted peace. We trained for its end." In orbit above the moon, Earth's secret shipyard powered up. Hundreds of engineers moved like shadows, fitting giant magnetic rails onto the spine of a warship that didn't even have a name yet. A machine built for one shot? One enemy, one chance. Inside, the Command Corps Admiral Reyes stood with arms crossed. "They know we have the weapon," he said, "and we need a way to deliver it." A younger officer looked nervous. "Should we ask for help from the other species now?" Reyes gave him a long look. "If they want to help, they can send mass, slugs, coils, targets, but we're not waiting for a vote. We fire first." The Admiral turned to the ship on the screen. He pointed. "That one. That's the one that ends this." Far beyond known space, the black wave moved again. Faster now, as if it had felt something new. Not fear, but challenge. Something had touched it, something sharp, something old. And it was coming. Bah! The war room was dark. Earth's top military minds stood around a long table.
Ow.
Floating above it was a three-dimensional map of the galaxy. It's glowing red in more places than anyone liked. Admiral Reyes pointed at the glowing path, the waves. "Accelerating. We believe it's reacting to the railgun test." On the screen, 5 systems blinked out one after the other. Da-da-da-da. The black path bent slightly, not in retreat, but now tracking Earth's location. Reyes turned to the room. "They know where we are." Silence. At the edge of the room, Ambassador Thorne leaned against a steel railing. He didn't seem surprised. "They always would," he said quietly. "The moment we hit it, we lit a beacon." Meanwhile, on a Council Fleet Command ship, panic was growing. Hundreds of species were scrambling ships, evacuating colonies, deploying energy shields that hadn't seen use in 3,000 years. None of it worked. The wave kept moving. Shields collapsed on contact. Ships never got the chance to fight. All their fancy tech? Useless. The Council requested more data from Earth, but Earth sent no more requests. They sent blueprints, one-page instructions for building kinetic slugs, rail accelerators, energy dampers. No one had ever seen weapons like this. Most of the galaxy had banned kinetic weapons centuries ago, to barbaric, to primitive now. Everyone wanted them, but it was too late to build. Only Earth had them ready. Only Earth had been preparing. Back in Earth's high-orbit dry dock, the first of the Valkyrie-class kinetic warships roared to life. Its body was armor over armor. Its engines were sight-run, low-flash drives. But its heart, its soul, was a railgun, nearly the length of a city. Inside its core sat a solid, metal slug. No guidance, no code, just one purpose: mass plus speed. The engineers called it the sledge. Reyes stood on the command bridge of the first completed Valkyrie. He tapped the console and brought up the old Earth doctrine, one written long before contact with the galaxy. It was cold, simple, brutal. If shields fail, hit harder. If code fails, go dumb. If war comes, end it in one shot. He turned to his crew. "We're not fighting a fleet. We're not fighting ships. This thing doesn't think like us, doesn't plan. It just moves." He paused. "So we stop it with what it can't absorb: impact." His tactical officer nodded. "No plasma, no lasers, just steel." "Exactly." Looked out the window at the dark beyond Mars. "Get us into position." On the Galactic Council homeworld, chaos ruled. Many leaders argued that Earth's weapons were too dangerous, that they should be limited, controlled. Others were finally listening. The crystalline, delegate from Serathea, stood and silenced the room with a deep tone. "You all spent your lives building smarter weapons, ones that talk, scan, adjust. Did something different. They built final weapons." Ambassador Thorne, appearing by Hala, added only one sentence: "We built weapons for enemies that don't care what we say." The Council voted. For the first time in galactic history, full military authority was handed to a non-Council species. Earth now commanded the defense. Thorne gave the order: "All railgun-capable ships deploy." In deep space, the darkness was no longer silent. Sensors picked up low-frequency pulses, not communication. Not logic, but rage. The wave twisted unnaturally. Faster. Now, moving straight for the Sol system, as if drawn by the only thing that had ever wounded it, Captain Chen. Now aboard the Valkyrie Rising, looked over her crew. First shot worked, she said. Second shot hurts it. She paused. But the third? That's the one we end it with? Countdown appeared on her screen. 72 hours until contact. Reyes. His voice came through on the fleet-wide channel. This is Earth's doctrine now. No AI, no diplomacy, just physics. Fire when ready. Across the stars, railguns began charging. Ships moved into position, and at the center of it all, Earth stood calm, not afraid, not waiting, ready, because humanity didn't build weapons to scare, they built them to survive. The stars lit up with railgun fire. It's not just Earth's fleet, but dozens of new ships, built in orbit by species that once laughed. Now they copied Earth's blueprints, some crude, some unstable, but all loaded with mass. Steel, titanium, tungsten, no AI, no plasma. Just velocity. The wave had reached the outer edge of soul space. Its shape was no longer hidden, no longer slow. It moved like a storm of black smoke and shattered glass, swirling in complete silence. Gravity bent around it. Time rippled near its edge. The lead science officer on Valkyrie Rising stared at the readings. This thing isn't just matter, it's rewriting local physics. Captain Naomi Chen stood at the window, jaw tight. Doesn't matter. We aim. We fire. The human fleet had gathered behind Saturn. 24 ships, each with railguns stretching across their hulls. The command ship Iron Fang hovered at the center. On board, Admiral Reyes gave the final orders. Do not target the body. Hit the distortion field around it. That's where it's weakest. Across the galaxy, Council ships now reluctantly following Earth's lead formed a secondary perimeter. Their weapons were weaker, but they would still fire. Back in the Council chamber, delegates watched the battle from afar. The giant screen showed a wall of steel warships in orbit. The Black Wave, now 3 systems wide, approached. Ambassador Thorne stood in the center, arms crossed, silent. We mocked them, one delegate whispered. No, said Thorne, you ignored them. The first railgun fired. Valkyrie Rising launched its slug at 80% light speed. It hit the Wavean for the first time. It didn't just flinch. It staggered. The black mass convulsed. It's reality. Around it, bent so hard that several nearby ships lost contact for 2 seconds. When the screen came back, the distortion field around the wave flickered briefly, showing its core. Not a ship, not a creature, but a swirling, broken engine massive, an ancient trapped in anti-light and gravitational pulses. Runa, the engineer aboard Valkyrie Rising, stared at the image. It's not alive. It's a runaway machine. The AI scientist beside her spoke next. No, worse. It's unfinished. It's still building itself. Captain Chen clenched her jaw. Then we stopped the build. More railguns fired. 1, 3, 10. The wave cracked, splitting in places. Then it began to change, shape twisted. It started reacting, trying to reform faster, aiming distortion fields directly at human ships. We've made it angry, Reyes said from Iron Fang. We've made it notice, Thorne corrected through the comms, suddenly to Council. Ships tried to fire energy weapons. Bright plasma streaked toward the black mass. The wave consumed it. And grew. No energy weapons, Reyes barked. They're feeding it, but it was too late. The wave surged forward. 1 Council frigate vanished. No explosion, no wreckage. Dawn. Earth's second railgun barrage hit it square in the core. A flash, a flicker. And for the first time, the black wave retreated. Only a few kilometers, but it was real. Chen watched the data scroll. We're hurting it. Not enough, Reyes said. It's adapting. Then we hit it harder. Back at the moon shipyards. The final. The weapon was almost ready. A weapon Earth had built, in secret, ever tested. It's an orbital platform, built around a single railgun, 30 kilometers long, loaded with a rod made of neutron-forged alloy. Its name was simple, Thorne's Spike. Reyes looked out at the battlefield. Ships burned. Some vanished. But the wave was no longer unstoppable. It was thinking that meant it could fear. Get the Spike into position, he said. One shot. Captain Chen replied, "Just say when." In deep space, the black wave began to spin, reforming, changing shape, building something new. But Earth was already ahead, because while the galaxy built smart weapons, Earth had built the last one anyone ever needed, and it was ready to fire. The sky above Neptune cracked, stars twisted, gravity rippled like waves on water, and in the middle of it all, the black wave loomed larger than any moon. Admiral Reyes stood on the bridge of Iron Fang, watching it approach. "We've hit it 27 times, his officer reported. The railguns slow it down, but it's rebuilding faster now, smarter. Reyes narrowed his eyes. That thing's learning. Behind him, a silent timer counted. Down. 0 hours, 3 minutes, and 27 seconds. 3 minutes until the final shot was ready, far above the battle. In orbit around a neutron star so dense, even light curved away from it hung the weapon that would decide everything. Thorn's spike, a railgun the size of a city, mounted to a magnetic shell. Firing from the edge of gravity itself, inside its core sat Earth's final gift to the galaxy, a 12-ton slug forged from neutronium alloy, wrapped in reactive armor, surrounded by a coil field strong enough to bend space at launch that the humans called. At the final shot, Ambassador Thorn stood in a black observation chamber on the moon. His face was lit only by the glow of the battlefield feed. He said nothing as ship after ship fired slugs into the wave. Nothing when a Council destroyer broke, apart from gravitational shear. Nothing when a direct railgun hit finally blew a hole through the center of the black mass. But when Thorn's spike powered up, he finally spoke. To all fleet commanders, begin final retreat. Confusion rippled across comms. Then Rhea's voice came in. You heard him. Pull back. Give the spike a clear line of fire. Act. The black wave reacted instantly, as if it knew. It surged forward, its shape-shifting, curling, bending physics around. It like armor, but it was too late. Thorn's spike had locked on, in orbit. The spike's power coils reached full charge. The weapon groaned as it fought gravity, pressure, and time. Inside the launch chamber, Earth's engineers held their breath. This shot would bend the rules of reality. A slug moving so fast, it's kinetic. Force alone could flatten a moon. There was no guidance, no correction. Just one moment. One. Shot Captain Naomi Chen watched the black wave grow. Now so close it filled half her ship's sensors. We need to hold the line, she said, just 30 more seconds. 3 Earth warships surged forward, sacrificing themselves to block the entity's path. They didn't shoot, they just moved between the wave and the gun. Back on Earth, the countdown hit 0. Admiral Reyes gave the order. Fire. Command. Traveled across space faster than light through tight beam, relays and encrypted channels, till it reached the spike. The launch was silent. There was no explosion, no fire, just a dim flash. And a ripple across the stars. The slug vanished launched at nearly 99% the speed of light. For 2 seconds. The hit, the railgun slug pierced the black wave dead center. The impact didn't explode, collapsed. The waves. Core folded inward, space-time tearing like paper. All light vanished, sound vanished. Then, a shockwave. Rippled through subspace that knocked out sensors across the fleet. In silence. Reyes stared at the screen. No, black. No wave, just empty stars. No. Signal. No movement. The enemy was gone. Council stations across the galaxy picked up the same reading. The anomaly was no longer spreading. The systems it consumed remained dead, but the expansion was over, stopped on the moon. Thorn watched the stars return. To normal, one of the council envoys connected via Hala asked him the question, what was that weapon? Thorn didn't look away from the stars. He just said, a reminder. A reminder of what? He turned to her, eyes calm, that when physics fails you, trust mass. In deep space, fragments of the black wave floated dead and silent. It wasn't alive. It didn't scream, but something inside it had. Tried to adapt, to learn, to overcome, and it failed, because the one thing it could not absorb was a human idea made real. One shot, one end. And Earth had fired it. No alarms rang, no systems failed, no warnings came. Because this time, nothing was coming. For the first time in weeks, the galaxy was quiet, real quiet, on Earth. People looked up at the night sky and saw stars that had been hidden behind darkness and fear. The black wave was gone. The war was over. They had survived, and they had changed everything. In the Galactic Council chamber, every seat was full. Representatives from over 70 species stood in silence as Ambassador Thorn entered. This time, no one laughed. There were no holograms mocking Earth's toy weapons, no smug looks, no jokes, only respect and a little fear. Thorn stepped into the center of the hall. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to when we arrived. He said, "You saw us as primitives." No one moved. "You saw our railguns, our machines, our blunt tools, and called them useless." Several delegates lowered their eyes. "We warned you, not because we were arrogant, but because we had seen fear before. We had felt it, and we had prepared for it." The screen behind him played a silent loop, the final shot from Thorn's spike. The moment the black wave vanished, the slug crossing space faster than sound, light, or thought. "Now," Thorn said, "you know what we already learned on Earth? Not every enemy talks. Not every enemy wants peace. And some things you can't reason with. You just have to." End. One of the elder delegates finally spoke. "What do we do now?" Thorn looked around the room. "You rebuild?" He pointed at the stars shown on the map, each red mark, now still and cold. "You mourn." Then he tapped the center of the galaxy. "And you remember. Remember that strength isn't always shining, that intelligence isn't always subtle, that survival sometimes comes from the ones you ignored." A quiet pause. Then he turned to leave. Just before walking through the chamber doors, he stopped. No drama, just words. "No one's laughing now," and he walked out. Above Earth, the Valkyrie Rising hovered silently, its hull scorched, its railgun recharging in the sun's light. Captain Naomi Chen sat at the window, staring at a quiet galaxy. "The mission's over?" her second-in-command said. "What now?" Chen smiled slightly. "We sharpened the next one, back on Mars." The engineers were already at work. New Railguns, faster, smaller, meaner. Because humans didn't celebrate for long. They built, they learned, and they got ready. Not for the same enemy, but for the next one. Deep in the wreckage of the black wave, in a pocket of dead space, a tiny, broken shard floated. It pulsed once, then again, weak, but not silent. Something had survived. Something small, watching, learning, waiting. Humanity wouldn't be caught off guard. Not again, the galaxy had laughed at. Their toys. Now, those toys were the galaxy's last line of defense, and no one was laughing anymore.